Thank you for the presentation. Hey guys, my name is Adrian. I know it's a little bit late, but I would like to bear with me just for some minutes. So I've listened to interesting presentations today about DevOps and more precisely about how those companies implemented DevOps into their organizations. Like we had ING talking about their continuous delivery platform, and then we heard about how to automate a lot of processes. And of course, DevOps, it's about automating things. Probably the first question that will come to your mind is, what with the Agile word out there? Will this be a presentation about Agile? Well, I liked to mix these words a little thing. It's more about Agile, but DevOps practices are also related to lean practices and so on. When we are talking about DevOps, how do you promote a culture of collaboration within your organization? No matter that you are supposed to deliver code, or you are supposed to deliver documentation, or you are supposed to deliver support. It's how do you do this in an efficient manner and having everybody onboarded. So basically DevOps, it's about bringing everyone in your organization on the same ship with you and have them collaborate towards this delivery. So basically, when you are talking about DevOps, it's about having the development team and operations team, which most of the times are two separate teams, brought together to the same table and discussing about the same subject. I read a lot of articles and resources while documenting this presentation, and what I liked the most about those resources was the fact that they promoted the collaboration instead of tooling and code. So I noticed that we can define DevOps as collaboration towards delivery. This is an important aspect that you should consider where you are trying to implement or you are trying to adopt DevOps within your organization. I'm just curious, how many of you are worked or heard of Agile methodology? Ah, good. So I will try to simplify the meaning of Agile a little bit, but I do it intentionally because when you are doing Agile, you know everything about what needs to be implemented. You are in control of development and testing phases of your project. But I think that the most important component of Agile are the demos. You know that meetings when you have to show to the customer what you've done, and if the guy is not so reluctant, maybe you will extract some feedback from him. And I find value in that when you are doing demo to the client and the client gives you back feedback. I mean, that's a lot of value that it's added to your project. So when I say Agile, I mean the word and not the methodology. Why losing precious time when you can collaborate towards delivery? I know that this could be challenging most of the times when you are talking about collaboration with some other teams, especially with other teams located outside your country. What worked for us, and I will try to give you an overview of what we did in order to implement DevOps or adopting a DevOps culture, is when our team in Romania was supposed to deliver support for the application that we are working on right now. So we were the support, and some other team located outside Romania had to deliver the code and new features. This was challenging because most of the time the communication was formal through emails, lasted longer, but we tried to get along. What worked for us was the fact that we took over the entire application and having full responsibility for it. We took over the implementation of new features, we took over the code, we took over the release processes, we took over the implementation of new features. The outcome of this, of course, was a very sophisticated team, because up until then, we would have a team that was mainly focused on delivering support and answer requests coming from the client. But now, once we've onboarded the responsibility of implementing new features, of course that the benefit of that was something that was a plus for us. However, DevOps is not only about that. So if you take over the responsibility of an application, this is not enough. It's also important who delivers the servers, because you write code, but you deliver where? You install where? Who offers deployment automation? Most of the times, I think that development teams would offer deployment automation. However, as we've seen earlier in previous talks, some other companies build tools that allow them to do this. Who is taking care of security? Because you implement new features, you add new stuff to your application, but is it secure? So you have to get in touch with a security team. Who is doing server and application configuration? This is also very important. So what we've did, coming back to the application that I was mentioning earlier, after we onboarded everything here in Romania, we had the task to rewrite the application. And you can imagine the amount of work that stuff implies. So basically, we had a monolithic application that we had to rewrite using microservices. So we had new architecture that we need to deal with, because we are moving from monolith and towards microservices, and probably you also have experience with that decomposing a monolithic application into smaller components brings a lot of trouble if it's not done properly. We also had to think about deployment automation, because we had deployment automation for a monolithic application, but now we had to do deployment automation for microservices. Also, we had to see if the new architecture is secure enough, so we had to get in touch with our security department guys. So basically, our experience after that is that we built a huge list of new contacts around our organization that helped us deliver. And the benefit of that is, I believe, tremendous. There is an important report out there. I don't know if you heard of Puppet. Who heard of Puppet? Okay. So these guys are doing a report, an yearly report, after they ask organizations and IT professionals around the world how they manage to improve their delivery, how they manage to adopt a DevOps culture, and what is the outcome of that. So basically, they came to conclusion that high-performing IT organizations were deploying code 2,000 times more frequently. So that's a thing. They were able to recover from failures 24 times faster, which I believe This is something that probably you are also encountering. Change failure rate was 3% lower, and lead times, so the time that the code spends from the developer keyboard to production, was 2,500 times shorter. Another aspect, very important aspect coming out of this report is that they got better employer loyalty. Probably this is a new thing that you're hearing about DevOps, but it seems that things that work very well in production are making developers happy, and they are more willing to recommend their organization or their team to a friend. So this is an important aspect coming out of that report. Of course, there are a lot of processes, and we've learned today a lot of processes. One of them is automation. But I think that one important thing when you are doing development is how frequent you are merging the code from your branches to trunk or head. This probably you will say that this is a minor aspect, but however, I remember a time when we have a lot of branches that basically we had the impression that we had a tree grown into our office. So the overhead of that and having the code merged into the trunk and deployed very frequently is, I think, a very healthy process in order to implement a DevOps culture easier. Of course, we are talking about deployment automation, and we have a lot of examples out of that. Basically, most of you, I think, are using Jenkins or something related to Jenkins. You are building deployment pipelines that are pulling the code out the repository, doing the build, doing the test, and so on. And afterwards, the build code gets deployed into production, and also testing automation. Coming back to merging from branches to trunk, I think that this is a very fun fact related to Google, how Google does things. So they are doing stuff out of the head. So they are not doing branches. So I think this is a high level of sophistication that we all should aspire to. So they are doing this despite the fact that they have over 10,000 employees over the world. Probably you will say that this is a very old post for 2014, but I don't think that they've changed that until now, 3 years later, because I think this is a culture out there very, very difficult to change. The outcomes, of course, are many. However, I think that the most important outcome would be the fact that when you have everything automated, you have everyone onboarded and willing to collaborate. I think that the most important outcome of this is that the fact that you can adopt new technologies faster. I mean, you are a Java developer, but you would also want to test, I don't know, C# or Python or Scala or something else. Having this research-oriented or testing-oriented culture will help your organization and your team adopt new technologies faster. You would also, if you are capable of adopting new technologies faster, of course you can respond to business requests faster. As I mentioned earlier, you can increase the employee loyalty. You can create inside of your team an atmosphere that is rewarding to your colleagues, and they will like to come back to work every day. You will also spend less time remediating issues, because if you have everything automated, the outcome of this is that you can remediate issues faster. And of course, you will have more time for new features, to think about new features and research more stuff. So this is an important resource if you want to go deeper inside this topic. This is the DevOps report for 2016, where I got out those figures. There's another one for 2017 that got out 2 days ago. I didn't have the time to look over it. It's a very important report. And also, there's another important resource from Puppet. It's Getting Started with DevOps. And one of the things that are very important in this resource are those examples of companies that were trying and successfully adopted the DevOps culture. That was all. Thank you for listening, and if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer.